What's going on, everyone? Happy birthday to Littleroot Lessons,
Yay.
261 weeks in a row. I'm your host, Ro, and I'm joined by producer and host, Carl. Did that for the first time
Yay.
truly this
Got it
time.
this time.
Not a screw-up.
First take for real this time.
Yeah. This is what happens when, I'm actually focused. I didn't drink,
and you technically get to record twice in a row with me, so you're used to it.
Yeah, and also I don't have, Carter and Jay making faces at me or trying to mess me up, which, miss you guys, love you guys, but,
yeah.
They also deserve a week off. I know, actually, I think Carter's working right now.
Yeah, he's at work right now.
And Jay is on vacation. I think he's visiting his family. And after all of the weeks I took off, specifically to just gallivant around New York, they deserve their time away.
So we had Pokemon Day.
Yeah, and we
were right for the most part.
Yes and no. Okay, so I will say this: I did not get my I know the big thing I've been saying is Generation 10 as a Q1 early Q2 release. And we didn't get that.
We weren't sure if we were going to get that at all, which is fine.
But to another extent, we
got everything else right.
Yeah, and I think we should just dive right in with the most important news. Pokemon Conquerors Season 2 in September for my 30th birthday. Oh my god, I cannot wait.
It'll be exciting.
That's going to be the best Pokemon content of the year. Screw the games that were announced. Or going watching Worlds and all that stuff. Now, fuck that. It's purely just seriously, if you have not,
we're gonna get Concierge before we get ZA. Just think about it that way for a minute.
Yeah, that too. Which honestly, Carter did call that in our.
It's not quite holiday confirmed yet. It just says late. Late is any time between end of September into end. He
called it better than me. I thought we were getting it by midsummer.
Which there was a world where we could.
Yeah.
I do think the Terra League played a big part into why it's going to be a late 25 release instead of the early 25 like they probably wanted to do.
Yeah.
Let the hype build up again.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of the Terra League, the thing that I will say I kind of sort of got right-ish. Jay said I was close, so that counts.
It's close.
Pokemon Synapse actually ended up being
Pokemon
champions. So for those of you, again, who not following the Terra League, maybe missed our midweek episode where Carl and I covered Pokemon Day and predictions and things that were expected. Pokemon Synapse was a project leaked from the Terra League. That was all that was known. It was a multiplayer game, and it was being developed by Pokemon Works, which is
ILCA
and the Pokemon Company. Yep.
Which was being oversaw by Game Freak and Creatures Inc. So it's just a weird ladder of how things work.
Yeah. And so, if you haven't watched anything, or you waited for us to break it down for you, Champions is a battle-focused multiplayer game, specifically focused on Pokemon battling. Now, we don't know anything about a lot about it outside of the fact that the premise of the game, outside of it being a battle game. The trailer that they used focused on of course, Pokemon battles.
Pokemon battles over the years. Red and they showed red and green.
And blue.
They showed
red and green. They showed battles on Stadium 2, battles on Pokemon Revolution, and that was the last battle-focused game we had, Pokemon Revolution, which was, again, the Stadium styled of games.
Pre-built Pokemon for you to play with that you don't have to really put a whole lot of thought into it. They aren't really great.
But they get the job done.
They get the job done, and they were balanced for the rest of the field.
Yeah. And you were also able to take the Pokemon from your games and battle with them. It was a huge deal back on the DS and the Game Boy eras, and of course, Pokemon Coliseum and XD Gale of Darkness pretty much were the Stadium games, but also with a single-player mode.
They had a story.
Yeah.
They used XD and Coliseum as their VGC platform back in the
day. Yep, that's what you did.
Yep,
that's how you played back, like Journey Across America. That's what the game was played on. Back, I believe the first Worlds was played using Battle Revolution. Like, this is how you got your 3D battles. And then we got the 3DS, and it's like, okay, we get 3D.
We don't have to actually do this anymore. We can just play on the game, right?
Yeah,
like, that's fine.
So
this
now
potentially going back the other way, it's fine.
Yeah,
I mean, my thought process initially was this saves them so much time because they don't have to put in-game ladders and builders and like think about balancing and how to play the game and how to connect each other to battle in the game over the internet. Like, this just saves all that time and energy to actually make sure your game runs at a high rate.
Yeah, I think like the first thing, and first of all,
oh no,
a lot of people in the VGC community, I know Carl specifically, like, I'm not going to speak fully for Carl or the rest of Little Lessons. I'm speaking specifically for myself here. This is the VGC game. We hope. I would be playing, and that's honestly the reason why I was making the Gen 10 prediction, because we're probably getting GS Cup Worlds this upcoming year. Next year is not only the 30th anniversary of Pokemon, but it's also the 20th World Championships ever. There was no way that we were doing GS Cup Part 2 on a 4-year-old janky game that they barely put any effort into the battling systems anyway. They weren't going to do that. They were going to make it a big spectacle. This is a big spectacle.
Well, we have to hope that this thing's going to be ready by then, because they haven't got much time to get it out in the world before Worlds 26 happens. It's still in development. We didn't even get a date. We didn't get a 20. That's what makes me nervous, because if they wanted it for 26, they would have probably said coming out in 26 if it was ready. And saying now in development means it's not as far along as we probably think it is. So there's a world where we're like, oh, well, this could have been ready for Worlds 26, but it isn't quite ready for Worlds 26.
I think
I'm hoping that they get through it fast.
Same.
We'll see.
I think the big thing for it, or at least the big time update that we should expect, they use Worlds to give us updates on all of their competitive games. I know last year we got the whole Morpeko thing, which I think was supposed to be big and Go. I don't follow Go enough competitively. I'll ask someone after the fact.
Most of the time, the new releases for Pokemon have to be very specific in Go, and then if they don't, they just have to do a very specific thing, and sometimes they just don't.
Yeah, like they did that. I think they
like, I know Annihilate was really, really good when it launched in Go.
Yeah,
but like Morpeko, maybe not so much.
Yeah, they did that. They showed off some more TCG stuff in the past, VGC wise. Back in 2019, they showed off like all different items, heavy duty boots. They showed off the Galarian Weezing's ability neutralizing gas. They went in 2020. No, I'm sorry, 2020. There was nothing in 2020.
I was about to say we didn't have one in 2020.
Oh, in 22 they went and showed off Shedtail. They showed Cyclizar. And then, of course, the next year in 23, they showed off. We got Raging Bolt. We got
to see all the new stuff that was coming through the DLC and stuff like that,
which was really great. And then we got nothing last year because there was nothing. DLC's already out. New games not
DLC's done. There's not a whole lot going on. Like, oh boy, you're gonna play GS Cup probably by the time you come back around this time, and that's just kind of where they left it.
Yeah. So with that being said, like they should, like
we'll know more come Worlds.
Yeah,
how they start treating the game after Worlds this year,
and when we'll I think like Worlds is probably when we'll get a release window, if not a release date.
Hopefully, we're hoping.
Yeah, we're hoping.
There's a lot of hope and a lot of cope going on right now for this, because we need it.
Now, diving a little more into this, so just this is a blurb from the website. Get ready to experience everything you love about Pokemon battles all in one place in Pokemon Champions. This new battle-focused game will feature familiar mechanics such as Pokemon types, abilities, and moves, creating an environment conducive to rich and varied strategies for new and experienced trainers alike. It's not just familiar mechanics. You'll be able to bring in classic Pokemon from Pokemon Home, too. Look forward to cross-platform battles alongside your favorite Pokemon on Nintendo Switch and mobile, with a variety of different modes available for your desired experience. diving into those different modes, this from the Japanese website, we found out that at least at launch, their 3 modes will be like friendly, like player versus player battles where you can just play against your friends, a casual ladder, and a ranked ladder. So the casual and ranked ladder is something that we have on our Switches already. It's a staple. It's been a staple of the games for a while now.
Yeah, like ever since they put in the ladder, it's been pretty much like, oh, this is what it's going to be. Expect to see this time around and blah.
Yep. And part of it, as Carla already alluded to, if this is where the ladder lives, if this is where like battling Pokemon lives, when Gen 10 comes around, you're probably going to see a more like how it was with BDSP. Yeah, you could do battles against your friends.
It'll be an option because that's just part of the nature of Pokemon, but it's not going to be like the focus.
Yeah, you aren't going to need battle boxes. You're not going to need a land mode. You're not going to need like
that saves so much time, and like you'd probably keep the land mode just because that's easier to input together on the Switch.
We didn't have land. Well, that's the thing. We didn't have land mode in Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah, but you have offline capabilities to link up still, which you don't really need the land mode on the Switch to begin with because there's no console or anything like that to hook up with. So it's just like, cool, whatever.
Yeah, but like a lot of these things, and also like just like talking about other features that we lost that were on old games that are back that could come back. We could get spectator mode back, like a real spectator mode. We could get the battle recorder back, and you can actually, record your sets and not need to have a capture card and anything, and save some of your battles.
Showdown shaking in their boots right now because the minute recorder comes back, you're never probably playing a Showdown set again.
It depends.
There's so many people that just record their games on Showdown for content. Like the minute you can just do that for whatever on Champions, and actually have a good looking video. Yeah, and not just 2D sprites on a screen. Like it's gone.
That'll be big. I think the other thing, like talking about Pokemon, bringing Pokemon in, as they've said, like we're probably gonna have rental Pokemon, and then we'll have to bring our own Pokemon in. Things we just don't know yet. We don't know like if you can bring a Pokemon in and train it on Champions, whether it's Wiggly Bars like Showdown or if there's like a certain like mini game mode where you do a 5-minute mini game and you get your whatever stat you need, or if it's going to be a situation where you'll still need to train your Pokemon on cart, whether it's the Scarlet and Violet, Sword and Shield. That's kind of what I'm expecting too. The other thing that I wanted to know, and it's something that they specifically reading that blurb I started with, they mention types, abilities, and moves. No mention of items, and as you know, we can't bring items over
from home,
which makes another question with this. So, in the video, we saw a person Mega Evolve their Charizard, battling against a person who terastallized their Dondozo.
It was a smart choice to tear the Dondozo, by the way. Yeah, so I don't know how much, like, I imagine the gimmicks will probably be, for the most part, in there. But like I said, items, we don't know what they're going to do.
Yep, and that's the thing, like, with items, as
Pokemon Stadium games have never really had items.
Battle Revolution did, and one of the things in Battle Revolution is it did have an in-game shop where you could do the solo campaign of Battle Revolution, and for those who haven't played Battle Revolution or Stadium 2, or any of those games, these games usually have a solo, like, battle campaign.
There's like a story kind of mode where it's just a bunch of battles in a row.
It's like a battle tower, so to speak. And specifically for Revolution, there you could like earn battle items that you could send over to Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. I can see that being like a situation where you can unlock the items in Champions by going and like, beat this the tower, and you get X amount of points, and then there's an in-game store, and that's where you unlock like your battle items, like the lefties or your choice items.
Man, there's so many items.
So
Pokemon to begin with, like that could be held items and usable because of the way the game's built. Like that
And we
seems
don't know,
very
like,
tedious.
and maybe they go and like they at least give like a handful of items. I will say, like,
Well, what if I need like Iron Ball for fling or something, or if I want to fling a berry at somebody and then I gotta go
and,
get that, and then if I
and
want
these
to,
and these are the questions that we have that hopefully will be answered,
and I want to
and
switcheroo something, like
hopefully it can just be as simple as grab the item and go.
I'm hoping it's that simple because you gotta remember this is also a mobile game.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. We can't play this on, like, they showed it. You can play this game on mobile. With that being said, a few of the leakers or leaking community have stated that even though the game will be available to play on mobile and Switch, similar to Unite, the game will cost money. So this isn't like your free fancy showdown.
That at the time it costs money.
Yes.
It could quickly change because the game hasn't even launched. The game hasn't even gotten a release date yet.
Yeah.
All that could change. They could decide that they want to make their money off of getting home subscriptions instead.
Yeah.
And they just raise the price of home to compensate.
Which, like, home's
already cheap as it is.
Yeah. Like, I think it's like, I honestly, like,
it's like $1.50 a month or something for if you buy the yearly sub or something.
I can actually give
it's like $16 I think for a year right now.
It's $17.99 or like 18. I think it's like 18.
I just paid mine. I just paid for mine. Mine just.
I was going to say I just paid for mine as well. Yeah, it's like $1. It's like it's about $1.50 a month.
It's like $1.50. Yeah, it's like $1.50 a month. Like it's not a big deal.
Yeah, like you all have $1.50. I hope.
If they increase it to like $24 and make $2 a month off of it for the home subscriptions, that's fine.
Yeah.
If this game is still free to play and I just have to pay an extra $6 on home, sure.
Yeah. Now, one of the other things that was I don't have the exact verbiage. I think let me pull it. I think you sent it to me. I've seen it in a few places, but I think yours is going to be the easiest place for me to find it. Just need to load. Nope, not that. There we go. So this is like a snippet that they put out. At the time of release, only select Pokemon will be available for use in Pokemon Champions. Not all Pokemon available in Home will appear in Champions. The Pokemon you can send to Champions via Home are limited to the Pokemon that appear in Champions. At first, when I read like this, my first thought was, this is like how when the game launches, they control what the
they limit Home connectivity to keep you from having everything.
Yeah. So like when it comes down to it, we have our regional dex formats, which we've had them at the start. When Pokemon Champions comes out, we're just going to have our own set regional dex format. But the unique thing of this is it's not going to be a regional dex based on like the new region with these new Pokemon.
I think it'll still be based on a regional. It'd be based on a game. I think it still will be.
You do?
Yeah, it's going to be based on off the ZA Dex because that's the most recent game to come out, and that's what everybody's going to have access to via Home.
Okay,
that's what they tie that together. That's always tied together because.
So I was going to go a little further. I was going to think like, and one of the things
you thought they were like cherry pick a bunch of Pokemon and put them all together.
Yeah,
no, they don't take that much time. They don't put that much effort in.
Hire another intern.
You think they hire interns anyway?
Carl, get the
intern. They don't
have
interns. What are you talking about?
Get the intern from Pokemon Pocket that made.
Do you know how many jobs open up at Nintendo in a year?
No,
like barely a handful.
I was going to say borrow the intern that made the crappy Arceus trailer that had like 3 Gibbles on the field, and it made everyone think that the trailer that they accidentally let out on TikTok was a fake because they're like, oh, that's impossible. Like I remember, what was it? Chris is like, I was like, oh, maybe they expanded to 30 cards with 3. And he's like, no, Angelo, this is just fake. And it ended up being real. Like, literally, the deck that the Arceus deck they showed, like that Arceus Heatran Crobat, is like, one of the better new decks that's popped out. Like they even showed it off like, oh yeah, this is like what you could be doing, and everyone's like, oh no, it's fake. Yeah, just get that guy a job. Have him like cherry pick like some Pokemon. Easy.
Nah, they want to be able to focus on their gimmicks they're going to introduce, which means Kalos deck makes the most sense because it has all the Mega Evolutions attached to it.
Not all the megas.
All the ones they're going to be bringing over, because they're not bringing over. They won't.
No,
they won't give you. We're not getting Torchic and all them in.
No, we
ZA.
are.
Are we in ZA?
So okay, not that we are. The main thing I was looking at in ZA when they showed off the Mega Evolution is on the website. Like they showed like the in-game art for Megas like Mega Altaria and Mega Sableye specifically, and those were Megas.
Well, we don't know that ZA doesn't have those yet.
Well, no, we know that ZA has them. This was on their ZA.
That's what I'm saying. It's like they'll have all the Megas from ZA's decks, not Kalos specifically. They'll have it from ZA's decks.
ZA decks. Okay, I'm picking up.
Now you're following with what I said. Yeah. The game decks.
Yeah. Okay, because I was thinking like the Kalos decks, and I'm like,
no,
but there's Megas from Hoenn.
Yeah, it'll be all in the ZA decks.
Yeah,
because the ZA is a separate game from Gen 6 and Gen 3.
But yeah, like I could see that. I think since they did show off Megas and Terrassalization, and with it still being Gen 9, the Terra generation, I do think
we also don't know if ZA doesn't have Gen 9 Pokemon in
it. We don't. Like, but I'm saying like
Dozo would make sense in a Gen 9, like in the Kalos style game.
Yeah.
Dozo felt weird in Scarlet and Violet to me, like as a design. It just it did not fit the vibe of like everything going on. Like, hey, look, here's all these weird little things, and then here's this Pokemon that needs another Pokemon to do like the thinking for it. Like, it doesn't make any sense in this style of game. I think it was just a scrapped design that they just wanted to use.
I could believe it. Oh, I could believe that, but like more so like what I'm saying, I think if I'm doing a projection, Worlds 26, I think you're going to see both Megas and Terrassalization, but it's going to be a situation where like Nash, like the Nacdex doubles.
Nacdex doubles, where it's one or the other. And...
Yep, it's like if your Pokemon is holding a gimmick item such as Mega Evolution or Z Crystal, it cannot Terrassalize.
Yeah, it can't Terra, but if you're but you have the option to Terra a different Pokemon if you don't Mega.
Exactly. Which, like, with that being said, all those pictures of like the Dynamax, Terra, Mega, like the Terra Normal, Dynamax, Mega Kangaskhan, it's not going to happen.
What's funny is Dynamax isn't even allowed in Nacdex doubles.
No.
It never had. It was in there for a very, very short amount of time, and they're like, we hate this.
Yeah, Smogon hates Dynamax, and like that is one of the things we didn't see Dynamax, we didn't see Z Crystals. I wouldn't be shocked if in future updates we do see all of the battle gimmicks.
But I don't think we'll ever see Dynamax again. Dynamax was a very polarizing gimmick.
I know more. I know more people didn't like Z Crystals than Dynamax, but also that's like they both weren't popular, and even like Megas. I know we've talked about this a lot on the pod.
Megas. It's the casual fan base is the one you got to think about. Megas are casual gold.
Yeah.
If you want to drag in the random player that hasn't really done much battles in kicking and screaming into the game, you just put Megas in the game. That's all.
Which is hilarious because as we've discussed in the past, the big issue with Megas is like the big issue casual players have is that some are just significantly better than others.
There's just certain ones you play and then that's it.
Yeah.
You don't get to play all of them, just certain ones.
You get to there's like on the high end like 10, maybe like 12. With that being said, the way that my brain works and building teams and everything, I need like, okay, you built for 6 things and then you're set, buddy, and this is what you do. Like I like mentally, I feel like that
it makes your flow charting easier.
Makes my flow, yeah, it just makes me think it's like, okay, this is what I do for this. Like that's kind of maybe why I don't completely hate like Regulation G or Single Restricted. Like I recognize the format is absolutely horrific.
Wait till you get to GS Cup and it's going to be much easier.
I cannot wait. It's going
to be so easy because there's literally going to be like 4 teams.
I don't think it's no. See, I think it's going to be the opposite for that. I think it's going to be more than 4 teams.
No, you haven't played enough GS Cup yet, then.
This format, no.
Yeah, no, you need to play more GS Cup in this format. Go find tournaments on Limitless and play it. It's still the Wild Wild West, but it's very clearly there's certain things that are much better than others.
Yeah, but yeah, I think we kind of covered everything for champions.
Well, speaking of GS Cup, Milwaukee regional signups are Wednesday.
Okay,
that'll be the first hopeful event for GS Cup.
Yeah, that is.
I'm gonna try and get in. We're gonna see what happens.
I will not be.
That's far away. It's far. So the cap, they've already came out and said the cap for Milwaukee is going to be much smaller than other regionals, which is already scary.
That doesn't surprise me. And like part of it as well, like the mix there is people are going to probably want to get experience with the new format. But at the same time, I could also see like
here's the thing. Milwaukee, I think it's Milwaukee and then Portland at the end of May, and then it's NAIC. That's literally it. That's all the formats that's all the events we get in the US for this format. I think that's actually all the events, period.
No, we got there. I think there might be one Europe event, and I know that they've thrown a ton of Latin American, but also just like going by like the 4-month format, like GS, like it will also be the World's format. So you're going to get that, but like I think the big thing.
So there's 2 special events,
yeah,
not regionals, special events in Europe, and there's
there has to. I think
there's one regional in Chile and then one regional in Melbourne, all on the same weekend.
That'll be fun for us.
Oh, and there's a special event. There's 3 events all on the same weekend. The special event in the Netherlands, Chile has a regional, and Melbourne has a regional.
Okay, that weekend I will be sick or dead. One of the 2. What weekend is that?
May 17th and 18th. So it goes Milwaukee the very first weekend, May 2nd through 4th, and then we'll have May 17th and 18th will be the super weekend where it's 3 events, and then the last event before NAIC will be the special regional. Will be the special event in Italy, and then it'll be NAIC in June.
Yep, which, like, I mean, part of it, I feel like there might not be a lot of people because the end of the end of the season and everything, but at the same time, people are probably going to want, like, who are making Worlds pushes that don't feel comfortable, might want to get, like, an extra crack at just upping their BFLs. I know there's a handful of my friends who I already know if they're, like, aching for points, like if they're at only like the 750, 800 mark by then, they might want to push just in case they like, just so no one wants to go into NAIC saying, yeah, I gotta like do insanely well and also do better than these people, or I lose my invite. I know one of my friends just drove up from Providence, Rhode Island, up to Portland, Maine, to play in a cup just to like improve one of his BFLs by about like 20 points. He did it, and now he's over 1,000 points.
That's what I was currently looking at to see like what the top 75 in the US was like.
So right now, if we're going by, it's actually we have 5 people in the top 75 with auto invites. So
we go to 80.
It's the top 80,
which is Judy. Judy is at 80.
Yeah,
he is the bubble. He is the last person in right now.
And what's worse is very close friend of the pod,
Rowan is the next one down.
81st.
That's what I was looking at. I was looking to see where they were at.
1 point. Yeah. 1 point. But yeah, it like that spot is going to get super, super competitive. So for people I'd say who are currently like 60 to 80 right now, are probably going to be spamming events like Milwaukee, Portland, like just trying to get that top 32, that top 16 that just maybe jumps them. You go from like 60 to like 45, and you can feel comfy going, or at least more comfortable going into NAIC.
So far, my math I did way back at the start is currently... So when they re-updated the points for ICs, I went through and redid the math, and I said you could probably get in with just about 700. 700 is about the minimum you would probably want to be comfortable with going into NAIC weekend. And so the current average I had was like 829 to 919. That's like the magic number to where you'll probably be comfortable going into NAIC weekend. So my numbers so far are pretty spot on because the current spot is like 600. And so depending on like if you get a couple more top whatever and you get into that little range,
I
that's
know
gonna be the magic one.
I know right now, I think like when I spoke with Stefan, and like he's mentioned, he thinks like the 850-ish mark, June.
That 829 to 919 number is that range is really probably where you want to be safe at.
Yeah, I think like June, because the other thing is a lot of these people who are up here, and that's why I think Jody's like in a really good spot because I know from him he hasn't been to many events. His BFLs aren't close to being filled. Well, there's a lot of players who are like close to the top where it's like
they've pretty much already maxed them out, and it's like, well, I could go try to spike this event and just get my auto invite that way because like, I can't finish any higher than 4th or something.
Yeah, like I know even just for like locals, we went to we had a cup last week. The one I went to, I know I mentioned it on the pod. I don't know if I mentioned it to you. We had two so Adrian Hurley and Zach Weed. The only way either of them got points from the cup is if they won, because they each had like 2 or 3 wins, and then the rest were just second places.
So they needed a win to get to increase their BFL.
So Adrian won, Zach came in second. The entire event that's supposed to give out 90 total points for like we only had 6 players, so it was only top 2 points. So the event that was supposed to give out 90 points
only ended up giving out to first because
gave out and it was only like 10 points.
Yeah.
So it's like literally like we're all looking around like, why do we waste our time with this? We had a challenge recently, and the challenge got like 6 people, and the TO was like, why everyone said we needed events, why aren't people showing up to the events? I'm like, first of all, you held a challenge the same weekend as a cup, and so everyone's going to the cup.
Yeah, everyone's gonna go to the cup because the cup's got higher payouts.
I'm like, and secondly, like even I've been to like no events. Even I've pretty much filled out my BFL for challenges. The only way I get points from a challenge now is if I make finals or win it.
Yeah,
like
granted, I haven't been to many events since
I've played in like 6 challenges, and like that's the thing where it's like a challenge it does nothing for me outside of spending time with my friends, and I don't need a Pokemon tournament to do that. But that is our competitive rant. We are a VGC podcast, and hopefully we will be playing VGC on Champions and not Scarlet and Violet. Like, please, just any other game at this point. Because this,
I would not hold your breath, bub. As a game design guy, I can tell you, I would not hold your breath.
I'm begging and praying. On a lighter note, we're going.
The ZA trailer was cool.
Yeah, the ZA trailer was great. We're going, and we called a few things. Like, I think it was kind of understood that this would be like near future Kalos, and I saw it was a meme. It was like, so the premise of ZA, from what we learned, is that you go to Lumio City, and it's in the near future. So like the events of X and Y have since passed, and
that's all done.
They're doing an urban redevelopment plan to shape the city,
specifically Lumio City, which is the best. That's the sticking point. Is it's all within the city.
Yes,
there's no leaving to go do other stuff. It's all within the city, which is really cool.
And they want to make sure that it's in a place. They want to turn the city into a place for both people and Pokemon. Picture like if New York, instead of just having Central Park just in like one
there's
spot,
like multiple Central Parks like literally down the street
just
from each other.
all over, and that there's also Pokemon in there.
Nah, you just the Pokemon are just like all the squirrels and animals that live in there. That's fine.
One of the things I saw that was a meme. It was like so this is the game. It's like the Legend ZA. So your character is going. You first go to the city on a vacation, spend time in a hotel. We don't know what's going to keep you there, but you get looped in, and you compare it to the Legends Arceus protagonist, where you're thrown like 2,000 years or whatever in the past, and it's like just miserable. And honestly, like Legends Arceus, like that, it's like an isekai horror story. While Legends ZA is you go on vacation and you accidentally get a job, which is also a horror story for a lot of people.
I mean,
But
hey, it's like a work visa. It's fine.
Yeah, this nightmare has plumbing.
One of the big things I took from the trailer, it's like there's like map parkour, like you can scale the buildings, walk between buildings, jump between buildings, things like that. I think that's really cool, and it reminds me of like all the verticality they did in like Monster Hunter Rise. Did you see that? Like when they first added like, all the jumping and the mechanics and whatnot. Like
I saw a bit
like,
of it.
Oh, that was one of my favorite things about that game. It was just like, oh, so it's literally just adding all this verticality to the game because you can climb on buildings and jump between buildings and use your Rotom phone to make sure you don't fall to your death. And
yeah, and then speaking of action and movement, that is going into the battles. So
they're anime battles. It's just anime battles. That's just what I call it. It's just anime style.
They're calling them Pokemon Series first. Pokemon and trainers take action real time during the battle. A lot of people online were saying it was very similar to like the way Xenoblade Chronicles does their combat.
It is.
Which I think is really cool. So yeah, it's like you actually get to move around. Your Pokemon
it's very JRPG. Like if you've played Xenoblade Chronicles, if you've played any of like the Tales series, the Tales series is real time action combat. Anything like a JRPG style combat, that's what they tend to do. It's you're in this area and you can run around this area and do stuff and have attacks and things like that. It reminds me kind of like how they just took the Pokken Stadium event thing. Like all the little Pokken arenas for your battles, that's just what you're in. You're just in like, here's this thing. It's protected for everybody else to watch, do whatever, but you're in this battle ring and you do the battle in there. It effectively takes the little bit from PLA that they had where you could get hit by attacks. You could run around and take a hit by attacks and things like that. It takes that concept and just applies it to your Pokemon now. Your Pokemon can move actively in the ring during the battle.
Yeah. And I think that's like another thing with them having, again, if Champions is the VGC game, if it's the battling game,
we get more games like this where it's story driven.
You don't need to shoehorn classic battling into everything. I like one of the downsides with Legends Arceus, I really didn't like the strong style, rapid style sort of gameplay battle wise.
I thought that was super cool because that made it like more strategy into how you approach your battles.
It was more strategy and timing stuff, but it also or at least like figuring out like your order of operations for turns.
Because
I would much rather have
that's a different JRPG style combat is the turn order where certain attacks will raise and lower your priority in the queue of attacking, and so you use certain attacks to chip away early and get further up into the queue next time, so you can get those back-to-backs or the 3 in a rows, or set up a really big attack for down the line where you can take it out or take out multiple.
Yeah,
that's super cool. I JRPG like battle combat styles are like my cake. I love that stuff. I love designing that stuff.
And this is just really, really, really cool. One of the other things is that, again, with these battles, we are getting Mega Evolution back for the first time since Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Yes, that was the last game with Mega Evolutions in it. Not Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon.
Ultra. We had it in Let's Go, but it wasn't. But Let's Go. It's like Let's Go is in my mind the baby step from main games to PLA. It's just like, here's Gen 1 in the style of, this is not a mainline story game anymore. This is a kind of adds a bunch of different gimmicks and you can do certain things and do some other stuff. And then PLA is the next step. But now we're going to ZA, which is going to be even more. I like that they're branching out and kind of expanding their horizons on like what a Pokemon game could be.
Yeah. one of the big things with Mega Evolution for this game that we saw in the trailer and they mentioned, it's a timed event, and that's the thing. Like these battles, since they're real-time battles, are timed events. So it's not like the set and forget of your classic games where you press the funny button and you are Mega Lucario for the rest of the game. No, you press the button and you're Mega Lucario for 20 seconds. Make those 20 seconds.
Yeah, you got to make it count. Side note, I realized why seeing the ZA trailer made me realize why they are pursuing so hard on Power World now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It put two and two together for me. I was like, there's got to be a reason why you're digging so hard on this and following a bunch of these other patents. This is why. This game is why they were putting so hard on Power World, putting the squeeze to them. It explains so much.
So moving forward, like with this game, one thing that not only were we wrong on, we went like complete O for not even close. Raise your hand if you thought the starters were going to be Chikorita, Totodile, and Tepig.
We said Chikorita on the episode.
I said Snivy. You said Chikorita. I said Snivy.
We thought Snivy. We said Snivy, and then it's like you could do Chikorita instead if you don't want to double dip into certain specific gens.
Yeah, but then they just double dipped.
Yeah, they just double dipped, which makes no sense.
Right in front of us. I did not expect this whatsoever.
It's because they couldn't use Cyndaquil again.
Well, no,
so they couldn't use Cyndaquil again. They just wanted to do Gen 2 across the board to give it more love, and they just couldn't use Cyndaquil again.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, I know you showed me the poll that it was on the official YouTube channel. The poll, it's like, oh, who are you picking? And it was like 61% Totodile.
Yeah, there's a reason why. Totodile's like the fan favorite starter there between Chikorita, Tepig, and Totodile. Like,
I'm not
it's Totodile.
really like, okay, so I'm attached to an extent, like, to Totodile and Chikorita solely because, you know, as a kid of the 90s who
probably got started like in Gen 2. Like,
yeah, like I mean, I remember Gen 1 a little, but I fully remember like Gen 2 coming out, the anime and everything. And yeah, I thought Totodile and Cyndaquil and Chikorita were like cool Pokemon from the anime, and that's like my relationship. There's a specific person who has a very close relationship with Tepig that probably changed the whole history of Pokemon, specifically competitively. Not diving too much into that. All I can say is that 2025 apparently truly is for him.
Yeah.
So, who are you picking?
Totodile, 100%.
Okay.
Granted, I always pick the water starter, so it's fine.
So
it's not that Totodile is probably the best one. He is, but I also always pick the water starter. I picked Popplio, I picked Sobble, I picked Mudkip, I picked Totodile back in Gen 2, I picked Squirtle back in Gen 1, like all the way down the line. I usually pick the water starter. So it's just like I just like the water starters.
So for me, because I'm trying to figure out how I do it. Usually, like a lot of times, I would just pick whatever my brother isn't picking. I know he's probably going to pick Totodile, but regardless, so that's the other thing. This game, they said late 2025. They didn't give us a true release date, and they also at all, and you also can't pre-order yet.
Late 2025 leads me to believe it's going to be either October, November, December. That's usually what they mean by late. That's their late psych series, is because it's like end of September into October, end of October into November, end of November into December. That's like their late window.
And we also don't know. I mean, it's not 100%. It's not disproven. This still could be a game that's being developed for both systems. And the reason why they didn't give us a date is simply so they also don't, hypothetically, if it is a Switch 2 game as well, they don't give us any sort of idea of when that could be.
Well, here's the thing about it being a Switch 2 game and a Switch game. All the Switch games are playable on the Switch 2. It's backwards compatible. So it doesn't matter if it is a Switch game or a Switch 2 game. Both copies will be playable on the Switch 2.
Yeah.
So I imagine it's actually just a Switch 2 game.
Okay. The other thing that I'm looking at, and this is how I will be deciding my starter. If you pre-order specifically from the Pokemon Center, they will give you a random sitting cutie with your pre-order. So I'm just going to pre-order the game, and whatever little stuffed animal is sitting on top of the game cartridge when I open the box, that's the buddy I'm going with. No thought.
In before it's not any of the starters and it's just random.
I want to just pull it out and it's just like a freaking like Zorua, and I'm like, oh,
are you in the game?
One.
To be fair, as soon as I find a Honage, that's probably going to be the Pokemon I play with. So,
oh jeez, that
God, just kill us all, why don't you? Jeez,
that was right next to the microphone. That was another cool thing when you look at. I mean, going back to Champions like super quick. When you go back to like the game screenshots of the not actual gameplay, but the gameplay screenshots they gave you, they did show us an Aegislash, which is again
it enforces it's going to be the ZA Dex thing.
Or they get that dumb intern and he's just picking names out of a hat.
No, I can almost guarantee you they're going to pick ZA because everyone will have ZA currently.
Yeah.
Or like most of the people will have it because that's the casual fan base will probably have it that want it. And so when they want you to be able to take your Pokemon from the game you're currently playing and play with it on Champions. They want you to be able to do that. And so it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for them to pick a bunch of Pokemon that weren't in ZA as their first regional dex or whatever. And now you don't have any of those Pokemon because ZA was your first game. You skipped Scarlet and Violet because you heard it was bad. And so now you don't have any of these Gen 9 Pokemon that you're missing because ZA doesn't have it all. So it wouldn't make any sense to just be like, here's ZA and Gen 9 decks smashed together and that's what you're playing with.
Yeah,
no,
I don't think this will be ZA. ZA Gen 9 match there will be too much. I did a little like experiment, well not experiment, but like a little
you did count
run through.
You did math.
I counted. I used my toes and my fingies. I had to take the socks and shoes off for that one. I went through like every single gen. Actually, I think I skipped Paldea because I was like, yeah, I'm done. Pretty much what it averages out at, the average number of fully evolved Pokemon in regional dexes is around 220. So when they did that Champions, hey, like this is how many Pokemon there's going to be, it's going to be limited, I can see it potentially being around the 200-ish mark because of the fact that it's like, yeah, the Paldea Dex or the Kalos Dex was like 450 Pokemon, but then half of it are just evolutions or like pre-evolved Pokemon. And then even from then, it's like, yeah, there's 220 Pokemon, but like you have your regional bird, you have just like your Pika clones, you have your just generic. I'm sorry, like
in the case of your Scarlet and Violet, it's your generic pig. But
yeah, like you're like, and so while I could see I could see it maybe even going down to 150, where Champions just like makes it, here are the Pokemon that are like good that you'll use, and maybe we have a handful of like crappier mons from ZA, and maybe
I really think it'll just be super easy for them to say, we're going to program the ZA decks as our starting decks for this game because everybody's going to have these access to these Pokemon because this is the current game that's running around. For those, like, you have to think about the casual person because the casual player is the target market audience for all their games all the time. Everybody's like, oh, this is a VGC game. Well, that's not their audience. That's not their intended target. They want
this is the game that is supposed to get the casuals into trying.
They want to pull people into the game, and so this is the game that's going to hopefully do that. And so they want you to be able to play with all your Pokemon you just got on ZA earlier in the holiday year or whatever. And so I really think it's just going to be pick up all the ZA Pokemon, put them in the Pokemon Champions that's accessible for the first 6 months or whatever. And then as you expand, you can add more Pokemon, increase your national dex format, whatever. Because let's be honest, once you get through like all the megas they add, and then whatever else ZA has, like Aegislash and whatever Gen 9 Pokemon they wanted to add into the game, because these Legends games never have just straight whatever. There's always extras and little things like that they want to throw in. So it'll be interesting to see how much they want to add and what they want to do for ZA's decks in particular. So like you mentioned, there's a lot of Gen 3 Pokemon that weren't in base Kalos at the time that have megas now that they'd want to probably bring over with it, because why not include all the Mega Pokemon, not just that little subset? Unless they want to completely retcon.
Yeah.
Unless they completely want to retcon Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire out of the game.
Which
that they could do
could say?
that. That's an option for them. They have full control here. So
Yeah. Like, just going through the mons, or even I'm just going real quick through the number of mons we have. So, like, the Legends Arceus Dex had 242 Pokemon. Then that is including the legendaries restricted mythicals. If you remove, like, all of those Pokemon and just to the ones that we're used to playing in legal VGC, it's 234.
Which isn't awful.
And so, yeah, if you go down from, like, 234 down to, like, call it 100 or so fully evolved Pokemon, but make that 100, like, 80 or so of them be actually good Pokemon. Like, because that's the thing, like, when you look at, like, the Legends ZA decks, just going through it, like, for, call it real Pokemon, we know for a fact, like, all three of the ZA like Legends Arceus stars ended up being good. Like, you have, like, Intimidators and Staraptor and Luxray. You have the Evolutions. Crobat's, like, fine. Drifbloom's fine in a limited dex format.
Yeah,
Raichu.
Drifbloom's actually, like, insanely good in limited dex format.
Raichu in a limited dex. And then there's other things, like Weirdeer being an Intimidator who sets Trick Room. That would have been really cool in a limited X format. Cleavor and Scissor, of course, could be, like, really strong. Like a lot of those ZA, like the Legends Arceus specific Pokemon, like Overquill, Hisui and Lilligant, like Ursaluna's good in everything that we know. Like Goodra would have been better. We got Togekiss back. We have Gengar. Like, there's a lot of, like, Hisui and Arcanine. There's a lot of, like, really good, solid Pokemon that you could make a metagame around. So yeah, actually, like, the more I'm talking it through, like, ZA could probably make that, and especially with Mega Evolutions coming back, maybe some of your weaker Mega Evolutions, such as, like, Ampharos, Altaria, those can be their own archetypes because the format might not be as powerful. Or you're just going to have everyone run Mega Kanga and things that counter Mega Kanga.
I was about to say, like, Mega Kanga is like the elephant in the room. There, it's like, oh, everybody's gonna play Mega Kanga. It's like, they may not. They
No,
may
like, I mean, like, if we have every Mega, and we don't know, like, so the 9 Megas they showed in the trailer and on the website are both Mega Charizards, Mega Kanga, Mega Ampharos, Mega Gardevoir, Mega Sableye, Mega Altaria, Mega Absol, and Mega Lucario. Specifically, Gardevoir, Lucario, Kanga, and both Charizards we've seen have competitive success. And so if we get into a position there, like, we could probably have a handful of teams. It would be built around the Megas, but we also don't know what the full decks will be. If it's going to be all the Megas.
Anytime there's Megas in a format, the format's always built around those Megas. They're very, very powerful.
We also don't know what new Megas they're going to be.
Again, if any. We don't even know if there are going to be new ones.
Well, so they didn't show any of the evolutions yet again. One of the things that they did showcase, or at least some eagle-eyed viewers pointed out, is that they showed Chikorita using Disarming Voice, and Chikorita doesn't learn that move. It's the first time it's been, not yet, but it's like, is that a sign of art? Is it getting, like,
is it getting a new Evo? I don't know. Disarming Voice seems like a move Chikorita should learn anyway.
Yeah.
Like, how do you make Chikorita better? You give it better coverage. And Disarming Voice is how you start that process. Because it's just a move that fits Chikorita's style anyway. So it's just like, hey, cool, this is fine. Let's just add this in here to make it more interesting, because we haven't had Chikorita as a starter since Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So how do we... This clearly wasn't a very popular starter to begin with. How do we make this starter more popular? You increase its move pool, make it a little bit better that way.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited for these games. I'm excited to... I think if I have to guess on a date, this is actually something I should have looked at beforehand. Give me a second.
I did say that if the Switch 2 was going to get pushed back, we'd probably look at an October release for ZA. So I would not be surprised to see it like late October into November, early November, kind of like how Sword and Shield was like November 17th.
So XY was released on October 12th of 2013. And so I was like, well, looking, I'm like, is the 12th on a Saturday again? Actually, yeah, because the 12th, it was like, that's the other thing. XY, they were released on a Saturday.
Yeah, they launched on a weekend.
Which,
I remember that one.
yeah. But it was a long weekend, so it felt like it worked. So I could see something as early as October 10th.
Like in that first couple weeks of October.
Yeah.
I personally think it'll be anywhere in that October to November range. That tends to be good Pokemon release times because it's just far enough away from Christmas that the parents have a chance to gauge interest in how much their kids probably want or don't want this game, and then they can get the game or choose not to get it.
They would want it by Black Friday, which I believe we're getting another late Thanksgiving.
Oh, it's super late. Thanksgiving's like super late again this year.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Thanksgiving's it's the 27th.
So like, did you know Easter's like at the end of April this year?
Yeah.
When it was literally in like the end of March last year.
Yeah,
I just don't understand. I don't understand Easter enough, I guess.
I think it's like based on when. So Easter is based on when the first full moon is, which makes sense because for my lodge, the way that we plan our meetings, back in like the 1800s when there were no emails or anything, and it was mostly, especially in the area where it was all farmland. Everyone had an almanac, and so it was all based on when the first full moon was. It was like whenever the full moon was, that the next Saturday immediately after it was the day that we would meet. So like, I mean, next week is my meeting, and then Ash Wednesday is on this upcoming Wednesday. So at some point this week there is a full moon. Probably like on Monday or Tuesday there's going to be a full moon.
If I still use Pokemon Sleep, I probably would know the answer to that question on when the full moon was. I haven't used Sleep in over a month, unfortunately.
Actually, no, did I get that wrong? Is it after or is it before? Regardless, it's soon.
It's based off the moon phases. That's all we need to know.
Yes, it's based off the moon.
That's all I needed to know.
Back to like potential release dates specifically for ZA. Again, I could see as early as October 10th, and I don't see it being any later than November 21st, the week before Thanksgiving, which that week before Thanksgiving has been the usual release.
That's the usual date they like to pick, is like the week before Thanksgiving. That's usually when they want it.
But maybe since this isn't like it's a mainline game, but it's not like
it's not like the Gen 10 style game. It's the next step of, like I said, try to figure out what a Pokemon game could be. Like, let's take all of this and put more story into it and see what happens here.
Yeah. And so with that being said, like, I could see it being earlier. I mean, hell, they released Legends Arceus the last week of January.
Yeah. So it's just like, all right, we'll just pick and choose whatever day we want it to be. Again, like I said, October, November makes a lot of sense. When they say late 25 and not holiday 25, it kind of opens up that July, October, November, December, September window. Like anything in the like late summer to holiday is like generic, but they're more so focused like October, November, December.
If I have to guess on when we'll find out the date, I think we'll find out what the date is
for the Switch 2.
Yeah. So the Switch 2 is April 2nd.
Yeah. The 2nd is when everybody gets their hands on it. Like the consumer can get their hands on it, like to look at it for the first time. I imagine like that'll be the day pre-orders open up if we're going to have them. There's been rumors that we aren't. That's scary.
That is, they keep on saying we have enough. But like the other thing is like and this is for me specifically, if they do release a special Switch 2 version of like a Switch 2 of ZA,
that's the one I'm gonna want, right? Like you're gonna want that one. So let me tell you about this. I love this. I literally traded my Switch in for this one because I love this one so much. I also needed to upgrade to the OLED at the time. It all just kind of happened to work out. But
yeah, I still have my like original Switch. I think it's I purchased mine in 2018, so it's Buddy's chugging. He's almost on the way out.
I was about to say, mine had over 1,000 hours of play before I upgraded to this guy. Speaking of, I gotta check my Unite stuff for the day.
Yeah, but yeah, that's like going to be the next thing. Who knows?
Well, we were right about everything else. The Unite, we knew what Unite was doing.
You were a little off on.
You
were right about it being Arceus for the set, which I just thought it was going to be Giratina. At this point, honestly, it being Arceus was a little like obvious.
It's very on the nose. Like you had Giratina as a card in the last set anyway, so it's just like yeah.
They
saved Darkrai and Cresselia for Pokemon Sleep, so it makes sense.
Yeah, and it's like, but like we've was an option of there being like 2 sets, only was 1. If you are trying to get into Pocket, now is a good time to just catch up because we aren't getting another set allegedly until end of April, I believe.
They pretty much already confirmed that we're not getting anything else until April.
So if you need some time to like catch up on sets and stuff,
trading is available for the first 3 sets. There's only 75 cards to collect in Triumphant Light, which is super duper doable. I'm almost done with that already, and it's only been like 3 days.
Yeah, I think I'm halfway done. I only did 110 pull, and I'm like halfway done with the set. Which is good because I'm actually still missing. Like, I'm missing only 8 cards from Space Time Smackdown. It's just that like 3 of them are EXs.
Yeah, that was my problem with Dialga and Space Time Smackdown, and that's my current problem in this set. I'm missing Leafeon, Garchomp, and then Tyranitar and Origin Dialga. Like those are the 4 cards I'm missing, and then I'm missing the 2 1-stars from this set that the Sky Shaman and
I got the 1-star Sky Shaman yesterday.
What is the other one?
Houndoom.
That's it.
Yep.
Which Dad's got my Houndoom.
Yeah, but Dad pulled 5.
Yeah,
that's
he's
the
got
only
my
card
Houndoom
he has in the set.
I need to get a Tangrowth and a I'm going through it in my head right now. Tangrowth, and there's one other 1-star from Space Time Showdown before I'm officially done opening that set.
Yeah, I am missing a lot of 1-stars. I finally got my Mamoswine, the 1-star Mamoswine, which was huge.
All you had to do was ask me. I had a million of those.
Well, I pulled it like the morning the set dropped. Not the morning the trading dropped for the set. I was able to pull it. I'm like, oh, well, that's easy. Yeah, you had a ton. Like Matt kept on like every time Matt would pull one, he would say, "Check your Wonder Picks," and it just never came up for me. Or if it did, I was actually one of my friends texted me that he pulled it. I saw it was in my Wonder Picks. I'm like, oh shit, I can actually get it, and I just whiffed.
Oh, that's always the worst feeling. I had a 2-star Garchomp in my Wonder Picks this morning. I'm not even gonna fucking risk it. It ain't worth.
No, two stars all waste it. Like 2 stars.
Nah, it ain't worth the sanity.
Oh no, it's for me. I'm a gone man. You try rooting for the 2016 Phillies. It's over. Like that's been gone. I'm gonna go pull the. I was about to say, I'll pull the lever.
I'm trying to get the Blastoise skin for Unite this season, and I just cannot get it. That sucks.
But yeah, Unite stuff. We got the Suicune. Like they did their other mobile game stuff.
Origin, the Kyogre and Groudon Primals was definitely not what I was not what I was anticipating for Masters.
No,
which is cool. It's cool that that's what it was, but that was not what I was anticipating.
And I think the other thing that we really talked, like the TCG stuff that we really didn't get into, just to like talk a little bit about it.
We're getting megas for TCG. That's the.
But the thing is, it's a lot different than they're completely different from the way that they were initially put into play. So when megas when megas were first added in the TCG, EX Pokemon were always basics, even if it was an evolved Pokemon, it was still a basic. So like. You would have using the, like Medicham EX, and then when you played Mega Medicham EX to evolve it, it would like evolving your Pokemon into a Mega would end your turn.
Mm-hmm.
unless you had a Spirit Link trainer card as a tool card
Oh yeah, the Spirit
onto your
Link
Medicham.
stuff.
That now the way it works is there is no like Lucario to Lucario like Mega Lucario. You just drop the Mega Lucario EX onto the Riolu, and instead of it being a 2 prize mon, it's a 3 prize mon. So these are the first 3 prize Pokemon that we've gotten since the tag team Pokemon that were very controversial.
I was about to say, weren't the tag teams 3 prizes?
They were 3 prizes. They were very controversial and very, 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 very unpopular. And the main issue with the tag teams was that because they were 3 prizers that were also just basics. So, like, the main ones, like Pikachu Zekrom, Arceus Dialga Palkia, Charizard Reshi, like, all of those big tag teams, you could just plop it down immediately. At least with these EX like the Mega EXs, you have to wait a turn or two. But at the same time, it's like, are we going to get, like, does it have to be Absol into Mega Absol? Or are we getting a 3 prize Mega Absol that you just drop and go? I know, like, yeah, the TCG players, they aren't looking forward to this coming, at least the ones I've spoken with. They are excited, at least for the upcoming sets. We have a lot of the trainers Pokemon are back. Like, you're getting, like, the next set, it's like all like N's Pokemon or Lily's Pokemon, and we haven't had the trainer names Pokemon since, like, we haven't had that properly since I think Gen 1 with the gym leader sets.
Yeah, the gym leader set was like the big one, and then I think there was
back during Gen 4, it would be like Crobat G, and it was like you would see like the Team Galactic or Cyrus or the gym leader or the champion, but it was never like Flint's Infernape.
Yeah.
It was like Infernape GL, and Flint's picture was on it. This is also the first time we're going to, like, and we're going to get Rocket's Pokemon soon as well. So, like, it's a ton of fun, interesting stuff for the TCG, and then the second the Megas come out, it's probably not going to be great.
Granted, they got rotation finally coming up for them too, right?
Yeah, rotation is next month, I think.
I was about to say it's soon. I knew it was either this month or next month. I just didn't know
it's very soon. I mean, I can just ask Eliza, but yeah, it's soon. But yeah, I'd say overall, really, really good Pokemon Day. I think my favorite part of it, honestly, was the fact that all of these small stuff, even like the TCG stuff, they just ran through it. It's not like previous days where they spent 7 minutes on freaking like Pokemon, the stirring game, the
Cafe Remix.
Cafe, there we go. Yeah, so like they spent like 7 minutes on like Cafe Remix.
Yeah, they were very quick and punctual about all their stuff because they knew they had two trailers to get through.
Yeah, it was like, okay, remix game. It's like, here's what you're getting in Go. Here's what you're getting in Unite. Here's like, a little sleep thing.
Bam, boom, bam, boom, bam. Boom. Here's all these things, and then we'll get our trailers in.
Yeah, and they spent more time on Concierge, which they didn't even do like a trailer for, than they did for like, I think all of the mobile games combined.
It was which going full circle, it was literally Concierge, all the mobile stuff and other games, like your Terror Raids and all that stuff, everything was just crammed in that little bit, which we're getting Mightiest Mark, Meowscarada, Skeleturge, and Quaquaval, which is cool.
Yeah, I think the Meowscarada's ongoing as we record.
Yeah, I think that's what is going on right now. And then they did their Champions trailer, the ZA trailer.
Yep. Yeah, it was a really great Pokemon Day.
It was actually it was really a very productive day. It's just like it just felt like it just hit everything real good, real fast. Didn't string us along for too terrible much. So yeah.
And if you have your thoughts on Pokemon Day, you can tell us your favorite trailer, your favorite moment. You can do all of that by commenting on your YouTube page or leaving us comments.
Tell us the game that you wish they had done that you didn't get.
Yep. Any of that stuff, whatever starter that you are picking in ZA, or if you're going
I want to know that. I want to test our demographic versus the general consensus for Pokemon. I want to see how many pick Totodile versus Chikorita.
I think I can do Blue Sky polls. I can set that out.
We can also set it up on Discord and get it.
Yep, we'll have that going. Or you can be an ethical person like me who just, pre-orders your game. Like, this is a moment when it's okay to pre-order because they're giving you like a $20 stuffed like, actually, before I'll do the outro, let's see what a Cyndaquil. not
The
Sentry.
Sitting Cuties usually range between $12 and $20.
So okay, well,
Like I got this guy back in Collinsville 5 years ago or 6 years ago now, and
$16.99.
yeah, like I said, like he was like a $12
Still, it's like
equivalent.
they're giving you like a $17 little like starter stuffed animal. That is, you are allowed to pre-order for your little friend, and you can then take that little friend on an adventure with you. And so tell us if you're doing that. You can comment on our YouTube, comment on our Blue Sky at Littleroot Lessons. You can find us in the community Discord, where we will probably have another poll. All of our links are by our socials. They'll be in the footnotes of this episode as well. And of course, as always, did I hit everything? Jay usually does this.
Blue Sky links down below.
Links. You can find us also on our podcatchers. You can actually now leave comments on Spotify. I look at those because I use Spotify for my podcast. You could also use Apple Podcasts or any other podcatcher that you want to use to listen to this, along with our YouTube, where we put out all of our other episodes, including the video that we did earlier to
get our predictions out.
What was going to happen?
Which we said was going to be like 20 minutes. It ended up being like 45 after I cut everything.
Oh,
I cut an hour out of it, and it still was 45 minutes long.
Well, we yapped for like 20 minutes.
I cut most of that out.
30. Yeah, well, good.
I still cut most of that out, and it's still 47 minutes or something like that. Like, it was crazy long.
But yeah, this is a chaotic intro. But you got a lot of information, and yeah, Pokemon Day out. Bye.